We all know, I've been speaking about it lately, about the about the beast system, right? Okay, so it's going to be, I said religious, it's going to be economical and financial, it's going to be political. So this is something I've been speaking about very frequently here, and I'm going to reveal a lot more here tonight. Hopefully this won't go on too long. There's a commercial Babylon, there's a religious Babylon. So we all know that. It's very clear that in Revelation 13, we see it's political, right? We go to Revelation 17, we see it's religious. We go to Revelation 18, we see that now it becomes financial and economical. So it's all three intertwined. It's all three mixed. So you got to remember that there's three that are combined to basically make a unholy trinity, you could say. The false prophet, the dragon, and there's the beast. The false prophet especially works together with the beast. So most people say there's an antichrist, there's just one, but they don't realize there's others along with this. So it's all the systems. And anybody that knows that the United Nations and a lot of these agendas, the end times agendas, you got to know that there's a lot of capitalists and there's a lot of communists, both leading even economic forums and the World Economic Forums and the United Nations, the EU, the European Councils. So these things we're seeing are going to conform into basically one image. So what they're doing is they have an agenda, even through the coronavirus situation, to have nonprofits and religious organizations and churches help push their agenda. So every agenda that you're going to see from here on out in the future, pay attention, is going to be pushed, you're going to see, by politics, celebrities, people on movies and people on TV. It's going to be people in music. It's going to be models. It's going to be actresses and sports athletes. These things are going to be pushed, and even in entertainment is going to be pushed. These things, I've said it long ago, you're going to have things like the churches pushing these agendas, and you're going to have many different religions and leaders in different religions pushing these agendas. It's going to become very clear in the days ahead for those people, the people that love God, but those who are still blinded, they're not going to see it. Because they're going to see, like what happened with Return 2020, when people go to the White House and go to protest, and they're choosing a political side, and they're going to say this is revival because there's people crying or just repenting, whatever, and singing and cheering, whatever, and a guy smashes a clay jar. So they're going to say, you're going to see a lot of movements like this, and those, I'm going to tell you, that are going to be on the news. Those are publicized a lot. That the most of the news sources are spreading these things. You're going to watch 700 Club, CBN, things like this. You're going to see a lot of news sources start publicizing what is popular. Watch out. I'm going to tell you, watch out. So we see that, before I get reading here, we see that there's three things. There's three things that happen in the beast system. There's self-indulgence, living luxuriously. There's she glorified herself. It's pride. Sits as a queen, right? Then she says, I am a widow, I will see no sorrow. And it's avoidance of pain and suffering. The very three things that we see today: luxury, living in comfort and at ease, pride. And we see the avoidance of pain and suffering. Everybody just wants to be happy. They want to be blessed, healthy, wealthy, and blessed. No suffering, no pain, no sorrows. They don't want to do that. So we see that's the characterisms of the worldliness and materialisms. We see that there's an abundance of luxury. Sin isn't just idolatry, but rather fornication. It's listed as fornication. So we also see that another situation is not just idolatry, it's pride, it's greed, it's selfish, held wealth. So people want to hold their wealth. Now the very interesting thing is, I'm going to get into more. Now, we see here, I'm going to go straight here. Revelation 17, I'm not going to get into right now, but that's the religious system. That's going to be completely destroyed and eaten by the kings. And that's the 10 whores and the 10 kings. So these things are the royal power given by the kings and the beasts for 1 hour, right? These are one mind. They're one mind. So be careful when I say one mind. The churches are also saying one mind. I know I said it, unity and one mind in the spirit. But now you're going to have the religious systems, the political, you're going to have the economic systems. Everybody's saying one, unity, call for unity. peace, love, care for one another. And if you're still in the church system, I'm going to tell you, most of the churches are following what is false. I don't care if you say you're non-denominational. That's just a scapegoat for the people that say, I'm not in a denominational or a religious system. You're in a religion. It came from neo-charismatic religion. It came from Pentecostal religion that was given rise to this system that was coming up. Even Messianic Judaism, even though I love the doctrines in Messianic Judaism, I love what they teach, I love the theology, it's very spot on, but it's missing the power of God in most realms, and that's why they're conforming to an image of godliness, but no power. So we see the Torah movements rising up. We see the legalists coming together and converging. Now pay attention to what I'm going to say. They make war against the Lamb. They will overcome them, right? Because he is the Lord of Lords and the Kings of Kings, and those with him are called the chosen and faithful. The chosen, look at that. So we see right here in verse 15, I'll just get a little bit into 17 here. The waters are, as you saw, the prostitute is seated, are the peoples and the multitudes and the nations and tongues. That's the whole entire world. It's clear. It's right there. The 10 horns that you saw in the beast, these will hate the prostitute and make her desolate and naked. That's the whole religious system. And devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put in their hearts to do his will. See, the judgment begins in the house of God first, and that's what he's allowing to happen. For God's put in their hearts to do his will and to be one mind. Look at that. One mind to destroy the system. Look at that. And to give royal power to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman that you saw is a great city exercising kingship over the kings of the earth. Now, where is that? Guess who really controls most of the money today? I'm not going to get this into tell you exactly where it is, and don't become an expert there. But what I'm going to say, anyone that's exercising authority in the religious system, the political system, and they're exercising in the economical system with the financial system. So we see that the church was right. The prostitute was clothed in scarlet and purple and linen. People say that's Rome. Today, guys, it's a representation of what Rome was, but not only that, but every single religious system from Persia to Mesopotamia to Assyria to Greece to Rome, all these different systems that rose up to Egypt are coming up and it converging into one. It's the spirits from past resurrecting. That's why we're seeing a lot of things today. Now, I'm about to get into a lot more, and I'm going to tell you, most people heard the word pharmakia, right? We've heard what pharmakia is, but who truly knows what that word represents? Everybody says it's just medicine. I'm going to expose a lot more if you just bear with me. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and get reading here. Revelation 18. So after these things, I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated by the glory. He cried out with a mighty voice, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a den for demons. Look at here. A haunt for every unclean spirit, for every unclean bird, and for every unclean and undetestable beast. For all the nations have drunk the wine of her fury and her immorality. The kings of the earth have committed sexual immorality with her, spiritually. Look at that. And the merchants of the earth grew rich off her self-indulgence. Self-indulgence. What is the very thing that you see communism founded off? And not only that, capitalism founded off of. Capitalism was founded off of self-indulgence. Self. It was also the free market in order for you to have a competition with one another so that you may have more wealth than another. It's dedicated so your wealth goes to you. It's you. And it's all about gaining more for yourself. And communism, it goes to the kings so that they can oppress the people so they can live in self-indulgence. It's both, guys. Keep paying attention to what I'm about to say. The merchants grew rich. The sexual immorality, he's even said it back in Jeremiah and Isaiah and Ezekiel, because the people were indulging in the love of riches and money and pride. They became living in luxury and abundance of no pain and suffering. It was all focused on health, wealth, and prosperity. And this is what he says. You are worse than your sister Saddam. That's what he was saying. And it's repeated all throughout the prophets. So we're seeing here. Then another voice came from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, lest you partake in her sins and receive her plagues. For her sins have piled up to heaven. Now look at that. The sins have piled up to heaven. There's a time God is being that patient for him to allow it to go all the way to heaven. The Tower of Babylon was they're trying to build their own tower for themselves, to make a name for themselves. People today are trying to make a name for themselves and just try to still say, glory to God, God has blessed me, but you aren't willing to lose what you have. And if you're willing to lose what you have right now because you're still emotionally and physically attached in the heart and mind, how are you going to leave it later on? We must be removed from everything in this life, emotionally, physically, mentally. At heart, soul, and mind must be set on God and still trying to build our own business and saying this is God's will and say, God, if you will it, I will lose my business right now. I have no care. I will lose my job right now. I don't care. I know that you're going to take care of me. And no matter what, whether I don't have or I have an abundance, I'm going to serve you and glorify your name. People are trying to make their own effort to build their own business or build something in their life, their own lifestyle, to build their own tower, to make a name for themselves, to feel comfortable, instead of saying, I don't care whether I have or don't have, and being removed right now to serve God. Let him choose whether you prosper or not. Everyone's focusing on prospering rather than letting his name prosper. So if you can't sit beside a trash can and be happy, or live in abundance and be happy no matter what, whether you have or don't have, you lose or you gain, you'll be happy. Unfortunately, people are trying to preserve their life and keep trying to gain. Look at her. Come out of her, my people, so you don't participate in her sins or receive her plagues. Verse 5 of 18 of Revelation. For her sins have piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her crimes. Remember, he said, I will remember your sins no more. Now he's saying, I will remember your crimes. Pay her back just as she has paid out, and give her back double for her deeds. Now, where is that at? This is in Exodus, guys. This is in Exodus 22, 4 through 9. Pay her back double. The deeds that she has done in sins. So what you reap is what you will sow. So what you reap in this life, rather for the world or for God, is what you will sow. And blessings and money and riches are not a sign of blessings. It means your soul prospering. So when he takes his stuff away, you're going to know very well and good that whether your heart was still on the things of this life or on God. Mix her a double dose for her, as she has exalted herself and indulged herself in luxury. So give her the same measure of torment and grief. So though you live in luxury, though you live in comfort, you say, I'm glorifying God. Many people give a lousy 10% and they say this is good enough. Who says? Well, it's in the Torah. You know I'm following the Torah. Great. Glad you're counting. For in her heart she says, I sit as a queen. I'm no widow. I'll see no grief. Why? Because she says, I am a queen. I am no widow. Nothing will happen to me. I will never see grief. Nothing will ever happen to me. That's what's happening today. Grace, 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 shower upon me. That's what's being sung in the churches all throughout the political system. We're the greatest and the strongest. Nothing's going to ever happen to us. We're the biggest and baddest army. We'll take over anybody. Yeah, in Rome, they fell in a day. History repeats itself. Interesting. Look what he says. For this reason, her plagues will arrive in a single day. Boom. Death and grief and famine, and she will be burned down with fire. For mighty is Adonai Elohim who judges her. Look at her. And people are going to say, it's China that did it. It's Russia that did it. It's another country that did it. These people are doing it to us because they're focused on signs and wonders and they're so dead. Their heads are up their rear ends and they can't even see straight. Because all they focus on signs and wonders, that the beast will deceive the people. It says in Revelation. But they're not focused on God because they're still indulging in the luxuries of this life. Still indulging in the passions and the pleasures and the lusts of this life. They're still not out of it because they're seeing with their eyes. But the kingdom of God is not something that can be seen, as Yeshua, Jesus said himself, but something within you. It's not by a sign and wonder, it's within you. Look what he says. Then the kings of the earth, he says, I judge her, who judges her. Then the kings of the earth who committed sexual immorality indulge in luxury with her. Look at her. Sexual immorality is always, again, putting the world and the riches and the pleasures, the business, But before God, don't follow the churches that say, I can love my business and still serve God. You can't. You can't. Period. Again, guys, when I started this ministry, when I started Ocean Wave Ministries, I didn't say, God, I want to do this. No, I didn't want to do it. He put it on me so I didn't have rest until I submitted to his will. I didn't want to do this, guys. But because I love him, I seen the hearts that were going to be lost if I didn't submit to him. I seen what would happen for his name not being glorified if I didn't. I have nothing to gain out of this, but I have everything to lose. This is what you do when you serve God. It's not something that you want. It's something God puts you in. And he's going to bring you through the fire to get there. And now today people are like, I want to build a business. Great. Just keep serving Satan. But I'm serving God. I love him. Yeah, so does the devil, right? But he doesn't obey him. But I do obey him. Do you? Look at here. Indulge in luxury with her shall weep and wail over her when they see the smoke of her burning standing off far because of the terror of her torment. Look at that. Saying, alas, alas, O great city, O Babylon, mighty city, for a single hour your judgment has come. This is in Isaiah, guys. This is in Jeremiah. We see in Jeremiah 50 and 51. It's all throughout Jeremiah. We see it. It's in Isaiah 50 or 47. We're seeing it all throughout the book, Isaiah 34 and 21. This is stuff that's being repeated from the Old Testament, Isaiah and Jeremiah, a lot. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her because no one buys their merchandise anymore. Capitalism is done. Communism was done. Every single thing is done in a single hour. This is what he says. And this is what is going to come. Stop asking, can I hold on to my business? Is it wrong for me to really have a business? Are you in this world or are you out of this world? But we got to work. If you don't work, you don't eat. Yeah. Guess what? You don't eat in hell either. You don't get drink in hell either. Keep toiling to build the Tower of Babylon and you will fall right with it. Who cares what your family and colleagues and everybody thinks? Okay, you got to provide for your family. Work. Stop saying that. Because that's coming from your heart and you're trying to preserve your life, right, and lose it. You think I'm an idiot? I have 4 kids to take care of. But I see husbands and wives always like, what if you die? What if you lose your job? What if? Cares and worries of this life. He said it would happen. And it steals that seed from being fruitful. And the merchants of this earth weep and mourn for her, because no one buys their merchandise anymore. Shipments of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet. This is business, guys. This is a trade. This is the stock market. Everything on the stock market, this is what brings the corporations and the stuff that they're providing. This is the materialisms and the assets that they have acquired. These are putting it into physical terms. Citron wood and all kinds of ivory and products and all kinds of products made of costly wood. It's your clothes, guys, your houses, bronze, iron, and marbles, buildings, cinnamon, spice, incense. These are things that were traded for money. Myrrh and frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, food. Here we see the food, guys, and wheat and cattle and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves. That is human souls. Today, we got human slaves in business and they're not even able to get out of it. I'm going to tell you, one person said, I'm ashamed that you hate capitalism so much. And I told him, and again, I said this in my storyline. I once told this person, look, guys, I support any political system. I think there's 11 different type of political systems. Now, none of them work. They're all man-made from human philosophy and ideologies and just opinion. It's their beliefs. They're human inventions rather than God's, and it doesn't work outside of God's laws, his theocratic government, his laws, his Torah. The closest to theocratic government is Iran, but unfortunately they took communist ideologies that don't work. And they don't have God in there, nor his Torah. They don't obey it. So one person once asked me, would you rather live in North Korea or would you rather live in America? I said, wherever God sends me. In fact, I had an opportunity one time, an offer to go live in North Korea secretly. This is something, during that time I couldn't tell anybody. To go work there and live at a house in North Korea. They provided the housing and everything for you so that you secretly go there and you go and spread the gospel under the radar. You merge in with society, then you go and spread the gospel. Whether you die or live, that's what happens. And this is when I had kids, guys. It's a sorry state and country when people are like, well, I have kids and the husband and wife to tend to. So did Peter and the disciples. They had family. Guess what they did? They had kids, but they followed Yeshua. Not build a stupid business. I had a lawyer tell me, because Yeshua was rich because he had money bags. Was he? He came from Nazareth. That was the hood, the ghetto. That's why the Pharisee says nothing good comes out of Nazareth. Nothing good comes out of Nazareth. Why? Because it was poor, impoverished. The people in Nazareth went to the city north and built luxurious homes, big homes for the rich and the elite. He was a carpenter and he built houses, guys. He did woodwork. Poor. Someone as a carpenter was just as equal as somebody that was a shepherd like David, which was the lowest jobs in society. Today, nobody would recognize Yeshua Jesus. You got Paul, a tent maker. People look down on that. That's a garbage job. Yeah, and you're building a business, right? People left their businesses. Tax collectors left their businesses. They left their jobs to go follow Yeshua, but you won't do it because you're so inconsiderate and say, I love God, but you don't love people. You won't even know how to use your riches to help pursue God's kingdom. We'll give a couple hundred. That's good. Yeah, you have hundreds of thousands in your savings account, right? I'm just revealing. Remember, Yeshua was poor. They had a money bag. That money bag was also the donations to help go in so they could have food. But then there's times they're very poor, so that's why they're eating from the field. In Leviticus, in the Torah of God, it says, in Deuteronomy, Leviticus, it says not to glean your corners of your fields to the edges. You're not to glean it, meaning take all that profit for yourself. You're leave it for the poor. That's why they were walking through the field, him and his disciples, and the Pharisees were mad because they were eating on Shabbat, picking grains. Had nothing to do with eating. They were poor. Naked you came into this world, naked you leave. Job even knew that. A rich man that lost it all, and he knew how to still glorify God even in the midst of it. Paul, shipwrecked, hungry, starving, beaten, stoned, jailed, in prison, mocked, scoffed, and spit on. He still served God. Not trying to build a business. He worked as a tent maker while doing missions work, while renting in Rome. He didn't buy a place. Oh, you getting into mortgage and saying, I got to have a secure foundation. This ain't your home. And he did the work of God. Instead of being a burden to everybody, he still was a tent maker while receiving funds from people to continue to do the work of God. Those scrolls were a lot from donations or not cheap. In today's day, there would be $1,000 to $2,000 that were written. And if it wasn't for the scrolls, and people would be like, that's a lot of money. Yeah, but you wouldn't have his letters today. Start thinking about God's kingdom. Acts 2:44 through 45, what did they do? Sold their fields, sold their houses, sold things that they own to help people. Now today, we got people trying to preserve their life. How can I hide out? I feel sorry for you all. Feel sorry for you all. Now look at here. Verse 15. Look, or 14. The fruit of your soul's desire has gone from you, and all expensive and beautiful things are lost to you. Never again will people find them. The merchants of these things, who became rich from her, shall stand far off for the fear of torment, weeping and mourning, saying, Alas, alas, O great city, clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in a single hour, so much wealth has been ruined. Imagine the stock market, if it was even right now, at around, what was it, 30,000? If it went straight to zero in a matter of a single hour. That's why when the stock market crashed, even in 2008, people were killing themselves. And every ship captain, thank you for that. Just when as Yeshua betrayed, Judas betrayed Yeshua for money. It's the same way people are betraying God for money right now, because they'd rather preserve their life and make a ton of money for their life, their future, their goals, their dreams. What did Judas do? He hung himself. Imagine when Yeshua comes back and you're like, I had all this wealth, but what did I do with it? You probably hang yourself too. And every ship captain and passenger, sailors, and all who were living there, making their living at sea. So again, a lot of trade happens at sea, right? Stood at a distance and were crying out, seeing the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like the great city? And they threw dust on their heads and were crying out, weeping and mourning, Alas, alas, O great city. In her all the ships at the sea grew rich off her wealth, and in a single hour they all been ruined. In a single hour, guys. Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you Kedoshim, the holy ones, the emissaries and the prophets, for God has judged for her condemnation of you. So all those that were speaking the truth, that sacrificed their life, that lived for God, this is what he's saying. It's judged because they were condemning you. They were mocking at you. They're scoffing at you. Now it's judged, so rejoice. Then a mighty angel picked up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, So shall Babylon, the great city, be thrown down with violence, never again to be found again. See, at the bottom of the sea, he says, I'll catch your sins. Same with Babylon. It will never be found again. It will never be remembered. These things will never be found again. The sound of the harpists and the musicians, no more music, guys. The flutists and the trumpeters, gone. Shall be never heard in you again. And the craftsmen of any craft, every single trade, every single craft, every single business, he says, shall never be found in you again. And the light of the lamp shall never shine in you again. It's completely destroyed. No spirit, guys. Darkness. And the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall never be found in you again. There's no more marrying there, guys. You are no more. The rejoicing. He says, people will be buying and selling, eating and drinking, giving into marriage. There's a person that told me this year alone, they have sold out more than any other year before in their venue for marriages. And there's people marrying everywhere. Again, I'm not telling you guys not to marry. What I'm saying is people are too concerned about their life. And I get it. Many people are going to stick around. You probably got a ball drop to watch. Go drink some alcohol, probably. I don't know. Reflection of your dirty heart. Just to get drunk because you're already drunk in the world. Again, this isn't even the New Year. New Year is Passover. But then we have Jews that tell you it's not. It's Rosh Hashanah. It's not Rosh Hashanah. It's in Passover, guys. But keep following Gregorian calendar, that's 438 years old. Now 439. So so he says right here. Again, the Gregorian calendar came from when? Catholics. And the light of a lamp shall never shine in you again, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall never be heard in you again. For your businessmen were the tycoons of the world, for all the nations were deceived by your sorcery, and in her was found the blood of the prophets of Kedoshim, the holy ones, and those slaughtered on the earth. Now look at here. The sorcery is pharmakia, right? This is where it's going to get interesting. Pharmakia is not just medicine, as everybody says. In this context, there's one other place, and that's in Galatians, was it 5:20? I'm going to get into this in just a minute. Pharmakia also means druggist. Pharmakia also in this representation is a spiritual format for idolatry. The magic arts and witchcraft, the potion which is to heal, right? Deceive, poison, control. It's a control. Kill someone or spells. Now, I don't know anybody that knows anything about witches, right? There's witches that go to Wall Street and cast spells over Wall Street. And the people that, the business that's there. There's people that work in Wall Street that are witches, okay? This is not just made up. And some people get, oh, you lost me there. You lost me there. Yeah, because you're so, whatever, you're worldly. You're no earthly good. So, something I'm going to bring up, it's very interesting, right, that these people will even do witchcraft with spells with money and potions to control people. They'll do spells and all kinds of magic arts and witchcraft and get people to love money in order to chase after blessings and riches and prosperity. There's even witches that can heal. Okay, that's why many will come and do many of these things. That's what's happening. That's why when you're listening to the Hollywood music, your worldly music that you're hearing on the radios, and the same music that everybody's playing on social media and dancing to TikToks, they're under a spell. These people are dancing to under a spell. These people that are in business that get mad because you're talking about business are under a spell. The people that love business and corporations that are working for these things, that are striving to build more, they're under a spell. He says they're deceived by their sorcery. Meds also meant control. It controls your mood, your memory, and your negative personality. Pay attention. It controls your mood. Emotionalism. It controls your memory. That's why you can't get rid of the past. It controls your negative personality. So now, anything that is emotional or knowledge that you have obtained, you can't get rid of because you're under a spell of Satan, unable to come out. Now, the symptoms of witchcraft. Now, let's go over here. The symptoms. How do we know? How do we know, guys? I'm going to go to Galatians 5:19 through 21. Look at here. He says, now the deeds of the flesh are clear: sexual immorality, impurity, indecency, idolatry, witchcraft, hostility, strife, jealousy, rage, selfish ambition, dissension, factions, envy, drunkenness, carousing, and things like these. I'm warning you, just as I'm warning you before, that those who do such things will not enter the kingdom of God. Remember, one of the fruits of the Spirit right after here is self-control. The problem is people who don't have self-control, they're just indulging in self. So, we also see that pharmakia was also something that came from the eye of Horus, okay? It came from Hygeia, which is another god. It was for wisdom, medicine, healing, health, and power. We're seeing the eye of Horus everywhere, right? It's not even on our money in America. Go figure. But we put it right on the back of it, in God we trust, right? What God? Remember, there's a pyramid right on the back. Where'd that come? He said it was figuratively Saddam and Egypt. What is the spirits of Saddam? I'm telling you right now. What is the spirits of Egypt? I'm telling you. I have another video, if you haven't seen it, about exposing demons and spirits. It's going to break down why people, in the spiritual aspect, why people are still going after these things in the physical sense. It's going to reveal a lot. I even have one on the Mark of the Beast that's going to break down even more. We see that Satan in Genesis 3:1-14, Genesis was smooth. And that's why he says in Daniel, they would smooth, the Antichrist, the beast will speak, and the false prophet was smooth flattery and deceit. Smooth words, whatever flatters your soul, your passions, whatever feels good. It's seeker-friendly churches. It's whatever politics speaks that flatter you. It's whatever the churches and the religious system, even non-denominational, speak that flatters you. It's whatever is in business that your heart gets excited about that flatters you, even entertainment. That's why entertainment was always a substitute for God's joy. It was a replacement for those that were lost and they needed the entertainment in order to feel like they are okay. Revelation 2:22. What he says at the very end, 14 through 15. He says, how fortunate are those who wash their robes so that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city. Outside are the dogs and the sorcerers and the sexual immoral and the murderers and the idolaters and everyone who loves to practice falsehood. And this right here is also lies. Those who love to practice lies and speak lies. So there's people out there that know what is right. They're still following in the deceptions of their own will, their own heart. And say, this is God's will. You're lying to yourself. God's will is that you come out of her so that you don't partake in the religious system, the political system, the economical system, that you don't take sides in politics, that you don't take sides in business, that you don't worship these things. What is worship? Where you put your heart into, where your mind is, where your dedication is, where your loyalty is. That's why we see to buy. We see the bridegroom went off to buy. Agarosa is to buy, right? We see it in Revelation, right? To buy or sell, we're seeing these things. What is it? The bridegroom went off to buy in Matthew. In Revelation, I advise you to buy from me gold, his gold, that refines away from the world. It purifies you. It purifies all the impurity. That's why in the refiners, if there's gold, you put it into the refiner and the impurities come to the top, and you scoop that off so that you have one big, huge heap of gold. That's why you have 14 karat gold. You have 10 karat gold, because there's different amounts of impurities, right? He says right here, we see all throughout, he says what to buy is. And now we see to sell is poleo, barter, sell, exchange, a dealer. We see it in Luke. We see it in Matthew. We see it in Acts. People sold all they have and support the disciples. Sell and give to the poor. Sell is selling in the temple. Now you see them selling in the temple. What were they doing? For their own benefit. That's why he flipped the tables. Because he's keeping people out from God's kingdom. That's the same thing in the churches right now. The politics, even the political system was allowing the selling in the temple. Go figure. Luke 12:3, give, provide yourselves bags which don't wax old, moth nor rust destroy. It's interesting. Very interesting, right? Now, I'm going to read something else. Now, again, I have a lot to speak about the mark. I have a lot to speak about, and again, other videos, and I don't have time for that tonight. I'm not going to get into that tonight, but we see what the purpose of a lot of these things were. Now, I'm going to get into something else really quickly here, okay? A lot of these gods that people were following were always there was gods for everything. There was gods for beer. There's gods for alcohol, satisfy, desire for the heart. There was gods for sex before marriage. There was gods for your own pleasures, your own lust. There was gods for riches. There was gods that they worshiped so they didn't receive plagues or pestilences, or that they didn't receive famines, or they didn't receive sickness. So they worshiped different things. That's why people went after different gods. There was gods for money and blessings. There was gods of sports, guys. There was gods for music and healing, for success and luck and prosperity. There was gods for transport and shopping and trade. Your fame, your glory, the victory. There's gods for love and beauty and pleasure and passions. There's a party god. There's entertainment gods. There's gods for intelligence and wisdom and knowledge. There's gods for trickery and mischief and exorcism and healing and creation and energy and sex drive and fertility and art. These are gods all over. There's earth, wind, air, fire, agriculture, and sky. Gods for everything. Am I making myself clear here? There's even gods for love. There was gods for every single thing that we could possibly have in this life. What's it going to take for some of us to leave it? What's it going to take for some of us to leave it? We see we see right here, guys. I'm going to go to Jeremiah really quick. Jeremiah 50 verse 8. He says, flee from within Babylon. Get out of the land of Chaldeans and be like the goats before the flock. For I will soon stir up and bring against Babylon an alliance of great nations from the north. They will form battle lines against her. From there she will be captured, and their arrows will be like the warrior who bereaves, not returning empty. They're going to plunder everything, right? This is the same thing that's in Revelation. He's speaking it. If you go to 51:45, he says, Jeremiah 51 verse 45, he says right here, come out of her, my people, each of you, save your souls. That's in Revelation. From the fierce anger of Adonai, do not be faint-hearted or be intimidated by the rumor heard in the land. 1 year, one rumor comes, and next year, another rumor. Yet violence will be in the land with ruler against ruler. That's what he's saying. Don't believe the lies and the rumors that nothing's going to happen, right? Therefore, behold, the days are coming when I'll punish Babylon's idols, and her entire land will be disgraced, and her slain will fall in her midst. Then heaven and earth and all that is in them will sing for joy over Babylon, for the destroyers from the north have come to her. Look at that. Now, look what he's saying here. It's a declaration of Adonai. Yes, Babylon is to fall for the slain of Israel, for God's people. Even the slain of all the earth fell to Babylon. See, it's even the people that just lost their life to the system. Escapees from the sword will go. Do not stand still. Remember Adonai from afar and make aliyah. Aliyah to Jerusalem in your heart. Return to him, his holy mountain. That's what he's saying. Return to him. Babylon is coming to be destroyed. That's what he's saying. Return to him. Look at here, guys. We got to return to him. We got to return to him. There's something else here I wanted to say. What was it? So, again, I don't know where I put this. I had something else in here I was going to say. So, again, we see in a lot of things, the mark of the beast always represented show you were a slave, gave allegiance, and your loyalty. In Hebraic terms, it's one's rank, authority, interests, pleasures, deeds, commands, excellences, promoting one's own cause. Is this making sense? He says that people would be deceived by the beast. They would be deceived by the system. And that's what he's saying here. If you read on to 19 and such, he's saying that those that didn't receive the mark but worship the beast in his image, still they're going to the same place as hell. So it doesn't mean even if you don't take a physical mark, there's a spiritual one. That you're still worshiping the system, and nobody wants to say that because everybody's focused on signs and wonders. Why is nobody speaking this? I cry out all the time. I was saying to my wife the other day, why does it feel like that? I'm the only one that sees this at times. Why? God, why are you showing me this? Am I the only one that has my head in the dirt, or is everybody has their head in the clouds? They're so high. Hosea 13:6, they were fed, they were satisfied, filled, their hearts became haughty, therefore they forgot me. He'll meet them like a bear, rob them for cubs. I will tear them open their chests, and I will devour them like lioness. A beast of the fields will rip them to shreds. An east wind will come from Adonai. He will plunder treasures. Look what's coming. Some come to God to escape hell, sickness. Some seek blessings, better finances, and better life. That's the wrong reasons to serve God. If you think you're going to get more brownie points and more rewards, because you do this, that's the wrong attitude. In Hosea 12:9, I have become rich. I have found wealth in myself. In all my labors, they're filling me, finding me. No iniquity, which would be sin. They're saying that there's no sin in me because I am rich. I am wealthy in heart and their mind, in riches. That's why in James 5, you have lived in luxury. Fan yourself for the day of slaughter. In James 4:4, friendship with the world is the enemy of God. You cannot serve God and love money too. You can't love God and love the world too. That's 1 John 2:15 through 17. The pride of life must be dead. The love of money must be dead. The love of business must be dead. You can't serve God, two masters, Luke 16:13. Money is the root of all evil. This is something all Christians love to use in 1 Timothy 6:10. Then they don't even realize they love it. So they're giving their loyalty, their endurance, their heart, and their mind is chasing after these things. That's what they're striving after. That's what they're living for, to toil in the field rather than serve God in His field, so that people may come to Him, so His name may be glorified, and people may have the peace and the true salvation of God that they're seeking, so that it delivers them from this life. That's why people are bouncing to go and run to and from, as God said in Daniel that would happen in the last days, seeking and gaining knowledge. But they're not steadfast in the true faith because it's not being taught. Because this is what's happening in the Messianic world, in the Christian world. There's all about signs and wonders. Be healed. Lay hands on this person, be healed, or come and learn this knowledge. It's emotionalism with signs and wonders and a bunch of touching people and healing people so you see miracles happen. Then you come and go to Messianic Judaism where you get knowledge, and none of these things are happening. You see what I'm saying? I know this makes sense. But they're not coming to the true grace of God that's missing. No one wants to speak about these things, the idols that are hidden in the heart. A lost love of God always results in apathy, laziness, seeking fun in games and entertainment. It's bored of praying and reading, and it's not hungry for God. These are the results, guys. I'm going to say here, capitalism is not nothing new. There's things that existed long ago in Babylon, in China, and Rome in 16th century. There's a lot of these methods were used back then. It came from foreign ideologies rather than God. What works? God's laws, upholding justice, true equality, not the equality that all these worldly political systems speak of. The social injustice that they speak of, they don't even know it. That's not upheld and backed by God's laws. It's not His truth. It's not His ways. The problem today I see something there's something I'm going to say. Back in the USSR, with communism, people would wait in lines for hours, guys. Hours to go see art. What was it? Mona Lisa came there and they waited in line for hours to go see the Mona Lisa in communism. People are waiting hours in line to go to a concert or event or sports or something like that. They're waiting in line. People would wait in line for everything. Today, it's interesting because I just seen something recently about for the first McDonald's opened in the USSR, people waited for 15 hours to get a burger because meat was something that was hard to get. They give you vouchers to get meat. What's interesting, now they just give you veganism, right? Promote as healthy. Maybe it works for some of you. I don't know. I'm not knocking you, but what I'm trying to point out something here. What's interesting is they waited in line for 15 hours to go to the McDonald's. People waited in 12 to 15 hours recently when the first In-N-Out opened in Denver. What's the difference? You got people that will stand outside all day long protesting. That's what they're doing before communism came to rule. Protesting. For nothing. For when? Because it wasn't to restore God's laws, and people hate it when I say this. But it's a start because we got Return 2020. Yeah, just go worship the devil. Right in front of the big penis sticking right up in the middle of Washington, D.C. You know what I'm talking about, the obelisk. That's why they have a design right around it. It's a woman's genitalia. Come on, guys. It's sick. It's sick. Again, everybody, I'm not gonna get. I don't think I'm gonna get any further here. We have to truly come out of this. We have to really. I'm going to be very, very gentle here now. We have to really seek God and what He wants in our lives during this time. Okay, the very essence of things that we know about humanity, our existence in our life from the very beginning, from birth, and we're raised into a system that is godless. We claim to know it was right because we think know it's right, but people don't even know where Messianic Judaism came from. It came from charismatic and Pentecostal beliefs, guys. Back in the 60s. Yes, true Messianic Judaism was first century, but we have departed from that. The method that is used today, yes, guys, if you were brought into Messianic Judaism or if you're feeling called to that, you're brought into that system, you learn the doctrine, you learn the beliefs, like the doctrine, the theology, that's good. Now, be moved by grace. Be moved by the truth and the grace of God so that it brings you to humility and causes you to, with the movement of compassion, which is a verb which Yeshua was moved with compassion, to come to do the work of God. So those that love God will be moved. Those that truly love others will be moved. You don't have to ask questions. Can I still have a business? You don't have to ask that. You know if your heart is in this world or if it's taken out of this world. You know if you truly love in your neighbors or if you're not. You're going to know because the Holy Spirit is going to convict you, and if you're soft and receptive and humble to receive it, I know so many of you are. Some I'm speaking to are stubborn. I have to yell because God is burdening it on me. It's burdening me, and it should be burdening you. It should be cutting that flesh. It should be burning it off. It should be crucifying. You should be sacrificing it on the altar so that His Spirit may come and fill you. That God will come and change your life. The very things that we need to be removed from this life is the very things that we're holding on to. The very things that can bring us closer to God is the very thing we're afraid to let go. The very thing that we fight in this life to hold on to peace is the very thing that we should let go so that we can have the true Prince of Peace live in us. But we're trying to hold on to things and say this is of God, and we're still not happy. We're still seeking more in this life, and we're not coming to rest. We gotta be surrendered to Him so that He can give us the rest, the eternal rest that we're seeking. The rest that the churches and the political systems and the business and economics and society is teaching is not the rest that God is telling us. The churches are drunk. Guys, the religions are drunk. The systems are drunk. I gotta tell you, guys, I can't tell you how many people I talk to. I'm like, my God, there are these people. People that have doctorates, masters, multiple degrees, and Bible and theology and doctrine, and even outside and just any degree, a big degree, no matter what it is, these people are supposed to be geniuses. Now understand, he says, I make the wise foolish, so that those who live in him may truly be wise because of him. He only gives a true wisdom. Those that love his laws, and those that love the world and don't love his laws and still love the world, they can't have the wisdom of God. So they have to look on the internet to find some kind of knowledge, to find something to comfort their emotions and their feelings, this flesh, to console them. It's like hugging a teddy bear. But yet they're not growing up into the true grace of God. I pray for you all. He's coming back, everyone. He said when it will be fully revealed and made known. And things are being fully revealed and made known. Praise God. He has taken us out of this life, and that's only by the grace of God. We can't change it, guys. I have people ask me, how can I draw closer to God? What can I do? They're trying to find ideas that require questions by their own effort to get closer to God, rather than just surrendering and submitting, and God will reveal it. He says, when you seek me, all your heart, soul, and mind, you will find me. Until we do that, we will never find it, but need a man to tell us. You can't live off of everyone else's oil. You have to go buy your own oil. You have to go buy your own gold that's refined by fire. That's purified. You must go through that purification and sanctification process. I can't help you through it. I can help guide you. I can help teach you. I can help lead you. But I can't do it. I can bring you to the edge, but I can't walk you through it. You're going to have to choose. Like the man, here's the thing. The three men that didn't bow down to the Nebuchadnezzar statue, it's representation today. You have a choice. You have a choice to stand tall, because every other knee will bow before God, right? But those that stand tall will be made tall by the grace of God. You're not standing tall because, right? You're prideful, you're arrogant. No, because you have the faith in him. So everybody else was bowing down to the idols and forced to bow, but they weren't standing before God. So these people got thrown into the fire, and what happened? They were refined and they came out untouched. The world should not touch you. God should purify you. He should cleanse you and sanctify you, so that you go through that refining fire process and you come out and you'll be made holy into his image. And guess what? God's name will be glorified. That's why the king's seated, and it glorified God's name. You must stand tall and be set apart from this world and choose to go through the fire, even in the midst of everyone else that's not going with the grain of society. They bow down to the political system, they bow down to the religious system, and they bow down to the economical system of money and finance. That's what that represents with the Nebuchadnezzar statue. And the three men that didn't bow down. Praise God. You have to be those three. You have to be those, even though the thousands bowed down. Be set apart. We have a choice. And this choice is what we're faced with. Whether we remain in the world or not. I love each one of you, and may God bless each one of you that are hearing this message, and I pray that you'll be strengthened. Ezekiel 16:49 through 50. Sister Saddam was pride and fullness of food, abundance of idleness, nor strengthened the poor and the needy, and they were haughty. But I pray that you all will see it. There was a god called Osiris, the god of dreams, peace. It was the false peace, and it was goals and success. People's dreams and success. We have to lay these things down on the altar. We can't just comfort ourselves at a synagogue or a church and say we're okay. They're not okay. Both are hospitals for the sick, not. And it's unfortunately they're becoming museums for the saints, where nobody gets out and does anything. And but anyways, guys, ladies, I pray for you all that we'll truly have the heart to glorify God's name. And our first mission is our family, right? And second is the field everywhere in the world. We have much work to do, but we can do it in our communities, our towns, our states, our country, even other countries. Whatever God leads us, we have to find out His will for our lives, so that we remain in His will and His grace will go before us, and we'll be anointed by the power of the Spirit. And I pray for that for each one of you. Look, I love you guys. I love each one of you. I really do.